Have you ever felt powerless before? I know that I have. When I was driving my car one day, and I came too fast over a corner, and it spun out of control. I couldn't bring it back. I had no power in this situation. Let's have a look at the Bible. Alright? In Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41, is when Jesus calms the storm. There's a massive storm going on, and the boat's getting tossed around. And then Jesus says, "Quiet, be still." And the storm just stops. The mighty storm was calmed just by his words. Alright? Let's have a quick look at this simple can. This can is empty, okay? But with relative ease, I'm able to crush it, okay? You saw me do that now, alright? And it took a little bit of strength to do that, but let's have a look at this other can. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to heat this can. And through the heat and a little bit of cold water, we're going to get the air to crush the can instead. Now, looking back at the story that we just read in the Bible, we can see that Jesus used words. We may not be able to see the words, but Jesus' words were powerful, and they were able to calm an entire storm. I don't know about you, but when I've gone down to the beach before, and I've stood in front of a wave, and I've tried to tell the wave just to stop, the wave didn't stop, and it crashed straight into me. But with Jesus' words, he was able to stop the storm. Now, with this can, we're going to see air crush the can. And now, we'll see air crush this can. So you see that Jesus used his words to calm the storm. But we can also see God's invisible qualities through creation. As it says in Romans 1, verse 20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people without excuse. Now here's another little representation of some invisible power. What we're going to do is we're going to light these tea bags, okay, and we're going to see what happens. God's power is invisible. We can see this in the Bible through the different stories that are in the Bible. We can see that he has healings when he heals a blind man. We can see when he heals a paralyzed man as well, when they lower him through the roof and he's unable to walk. We see God's power working in that situation. We see him cast out demons. Demon-possessed people come to him, and nobody else can do anything about it, but Jesus is able to cast them out. We can also see this in many other miracles, but we see it mainly in conquering death. Now, death is the ultimate thing that stops us, but we can see this in Jesus' death and resurrection. We are able to see that he conquered death. Jesus was crucified on a cross and then laid in a tomb. 3 days later, he rose from the dead. Now that's pretty amazing. God's invisible power at work right there. Conquering death. Death on the cross. God is still powerful today. Just because Jesus conquered death 2,000 years ago doesn't mean that God isn't still working today. And we're able to see this through the ways that people's prayers are answered. There's power in prayer because God's invisible power is at work. We can also see this when he transforms different people's lives. He takes what they are and he makes them better because God is amazing. And I think that we can take comfort from this, knowing that God has this immense power, this invisible power to raise people from the dead. that he will also raise us from the dead, as it says so in the Bible. God has proven himself time and time again from all these things that I've mentioned, from the miracles, from raising from the dead. So I think, therefore, we can trust in his power. And we don't have to fear. We don't have to fear death, and we don't have to fear life. Because God's power isn't at work in both of these situations. Jesus is more powerful than all of this. He uses this power, and he can use it with us as well. In times when you feel alone, in times when you feel scared, Jesus is there with you, looking after you. Sometimes it may not feel like it, but Jesus is always there.